Hello out there, YouTube community. I'm Scott Garriott, and this is another vinyl video. Picked up a bunch of good ones for during the months of June and July. Got quite a few actually. Got some good deals, some really nice records I've been wanting for a while. So time for another video. So early in June, I think right before I made the last video, I picked this up. Jefferson Airplane, After Bathing at Baxter's. I see this one a decent amount, but this was interesting because I believe it's a French or a German. Yeah, it's German pressing. Had kind of a more vibrant cover and that European shiny cover. And I think I heard it sounds better too, but just kind of a more special pressing than you normally see. Really good condition too, so I thought I'd pick that one up. I listened to this album a few times and I like it quite a bit, but it's more of a vibe album than like Surrealistic Pillow, which has a lot of great songs on it. This one's more like kind of a nice psychedelic, kind of weird vibe to it. This is the Ramones, End of the Century. This is an interesting album. I feel like the Ramones should have stopped after this album because they have 4 classics, and then they have this kind of oddball album here, End of the Century, where they use strings and Phil Spector production and all this kind of interesting stuff on it that's a lot different from their, at least the production's a lot different from their earlier stuff, but that was really all they needed in their catalog. But then they went on to do like dozens more albums that, to be fair, I haven't listened to much, but I feel like that would have been the perfect place to stop for them. I still need to get their 4th album though. Blanking on the name of it. Road to Ruin. I used to own that one. Sold it. Need to get an original copy of that one too. Both of those I picked up in Bend, here where I live, at Smith Rock Records on the same day. Then I went to Portland. My first time going to Portland since I moved to Bend, which is surprising, but went to a place called Too Many Records, and Too Many Records is an excellent YouTube channel as well as being a store in Portland. I highly recommend the store and the YouTube channel, but picked up this copy of Lust for Life. I'm sorry, The Idiot. Lust for Life is the second album by Iggy Pop. This is the first album by Iggy Pop called The Idiot. And it's got China Girl on it, which David Bowie later covered. Got a lot of good stuff. Sister Midnight. Kind of a dark, almost new wavy sounding type album from Iggy Pop there. But I had a copy of this, and I still have a copy of this, but this one's in much better shape. The other one's a little bit, not torn to shreds or anything, but not in ideal condition as a collector copy. At the same store, Too Many Records, I picked up this album, Sunship by John Coltrane. This is one of my favorite John Coltrane albums. Probably my favorite of his like really out there free jazz style stuff. Something about this one's more accessible to me than some of his other real weird ones. Although I like all his weird stuff too. I'm just not always in the mood for it. But this one's definitely kind of inaccessible, but something about it's really kind of inspiring and really gets me kind of amped up with it feels very live, kind of in the way that Charles Mingus stuff seems really live. Like you really feel like you're kind of in the moment while they're going crazy on their instruments, and I like that a lot. All right, so then when I was in Portland, I went to another shop. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it was only a couple blocks away from Too Many Records. Picked up this copy of Van Morrison's Moondance. It's the original green label, which means it's from the first year it came out. And I've owned this before in the past, but I've sold it. This used to be like one of my all-time favorite albums, and I still really like it, but I've kind of not exactly grown out of it, but I just don't listen to it as much. But I still really, really like some of the songs in here, like And It Stoned Me, Caravan, Everyone, Glad Tidings, tracks like that are still quite enjoyable. And I also got this. This is the one Zeppelin album I don't have. Actually, I might have sold my copies of their last 2, but certainly of the first 5 or 6 that are the essentials, I was missing Led Zeppelin 3. Another one I used to own that I sold, but picked this one up because it's in really good shape at the same place I got that Van Morrison album. Got the pinwheel and everything, although it's not an original. It's like a 77 or something like that, but it was a pretty good deal, really good condition, so don't regret that one. All right, so then back in Bend, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace and I saw an ad for a sale, like a yard sale that had records. I got a bunch of stuff there because he had a lot of really good stuff. He wasn't selling it super cheap. They weren't like dollar records, but they were really good deals. Got a lot of these for a lot cheaper than they would go for online. This one I got Nina Simone. Always good to pick up. This one was pretty cheap too, like $5 or something like that, but always down to pick up a vintage Nina Simone album. I think that's Nina Simone sings Duke Ellington songs. This is Elliott Smith, Figure 8. Got some really good ones on here. I think, yeah, Somebody That I Used to Know is great. Yeah, a lot of other good ones. But according to Discogs, this has bad sound quality. I actually haven't played it yet, but sometimes when Discogs says that, they're correct and it sounds horrible. Sometimes I can't really tell the difference, but we'll see once I give it a spin. I got this Aretha Franklin album, Spirit in the Dark. I didn't have any Aretha Franklin albums, and he did not want too much for this one, so thought I'd pick that up. That's a vintage copy. I think it's an original, like 71 or something like that. Velvet Underground live album. I've owned this one a few times, and he had it in there. I don't think it's an original, but it's like a late 70s press or something like that. Yeah, this one. I don't have any James Brown albums, and this one has a cool cover, and I listened to this one. It's really good. This is an original early 70s, and he sold me this for significantly less than it sells for online, so I was happy about that. Got the Polydor label on the back there with James Brown's face on it. It's cool. This is an album I have not heard. We're still at the stuff I got in that same garage sale. This is Common. It's a hip-hop album. I don't know a ton of hip-hop, but I have an occasional, like to pick up an occasional hip-hop album, and there's some that are among my favorites. I actually have never listened to this album, but I know it's an all-time classic of the genre, and it was only like 10 or 15 bucks, so picked that up. And this one actually sells for quite a bit, because this is an original from the 2000s, and yeah, they sell for like 50 bucks or something like that. They're certainly more than the 10 or 15 I paid for it. This one is a Herbie Hancock album. I kind of picked this up on a whim. I thought maybe it was an original because it had a Blue Note label, like the classic Blue Note label, and it didn't have a barcode on it. So I thought, oh, maybe it's an original, but I should have known it was too clean to be an original. It's like a 2009 press or something like that, but that's all right. I haven't listened to it. I will give it a listen. This next one is the King Khan and Barbecue Show. It's sideways because it's the gatefold, but there's the original picture. There's a picture right side up. This is now most famous for the song that was used on TikTok like a million times called Love You So. If you use TikTok at all, you've probably heard the song. It goes like dun 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 dun. Kind of a lo-fi garage rock type thing. And when I first heard it on TikTok, that's how I got into the song, and I listened to their other stuff. Their other stuff was even better, just like real kind of like my type of music, just like lo-fi garage rock stuff, but made in the 2000s, so it also has like a modern edge to it. A lot of people hate that song now because it's been on so many TikTok videos, but I still think it's a good song. And I think it's kind of cool that they probably made like over $1 million from that, and they're just like this little indie band from back in the day. But if you like garage rock and throwback music, I highly recommend checking them out. King Khan and Barbecue Show. This one I already had, but this is just a much better condition copy. I bought mine new, but I bought it before I started using these sleeves, and I would pull it out of the cardboard inner sleeve, and it would just, unfortunately, when you do that a bunch, it just scratches the record up, little micro scratches that aren't deep or anything, but they do affect the visual and affect the sound quality after a while. But this one was pretty much mint. Clouds Taste Metallic. This is my favorite Flaming Lips album. It's like a 2011 press or something, and they sell for quite a bit online too. I got a really good deal on this one as well. So that was all the ones from that garage sale here in Bend. Took a trip down to Ashland, Oregon, and went to the record stores there. This got a couple of Dylan records at this new store downtown Ashland. This one is cool. It's Bob Dylan Greatest Hits Volume 2. It's a gatefold double album, still in the shrink, and it has this hype sticker thing on it. You don't see double albums or gatefold albums with hype stickers because, you know, who wants to keep a gatefold album in the shrink? You don't get to see the inside, but it makes it kind of a collector's item. And I collect Bob Dylan pretty heavily, so I couldn't resist picking that up. And then this copy of John Wesley Harding. I already had a copy of this. This is a mono copy from 67 or 68. And it was just in a little bit better condition than my old one. And my old one's a mono too, but this one, better cover, slightly better disc. So pick that one up. I will sell the other one. Then I went to Biscuits and Vinyl, which is a great store in Talent that I've been going to for a long time. Got this copy of Eric Dolphy, Out to Lunch. And this has the Blue Note label. Not an original. If this was an original, it'd be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But it's just a couple years later, and for some reason the value is like 1/10 of what it would be if it were an original. But couldn't resist picking this up. This is one of my favorite jazz albums. Really great, kind of free jazz, but not too inaccessible. Got some kind of xylophone sounds in there as well. And at Biscuits and Vinyl, I also picked up this copy of Revolver by a band called The Beatles. I have a 2013 mono copy of this from that like mono series they did. But I like vintage copies better than modern copies. That mono copy is kind of collectible because it was a limited run and made from the original master tapes. But this is a stereo copy, and this is a French copy from like 68 or something like that. And it has all the original tracks. You know, if you get the US copy of the vintage copies, a lot of times they'll be missing like 3 tracks. And some of those are my favorite tracks. Like I'm Only Sleeping is not on the US version for some reason. So that significantly lessens the appeal of the album to me. So I'm glad I picked up this French copy. It sounds great too. I played it. Great condition. Vintage French copy of Revolver. I went to Time Machine Records in Grants Pass, Oregon. Picked up a couple things there. Blue Cheer, Vincebus Eruptum. This is just a early example of not heavy metal, but definitely an influence on heavy metal, just like heavy garage rock. Some good stuff on here. Out of Focus is probably my favorite song on here. And I used to have a late 70s copy of this, but this is an original late 60s copy, so I've always kind of wanted a copy of that. I see it all the time, but never quite the right price or the right condition, but this fit my need at the time, and it's a good copy of it. And then this was kind of an impulse buy, but also something I'm glad I picked up and will cherish, is Sun Ra, Everything Is, original copy in the shrink. And it's a little more expensive, and I'd never heard it before, but it's just so, it's so cool. Sun Ra, original Sun Ra album. I don't have any of his stuff. And I played it, and I liked it quite a bit, if you're into weird, freaky jazz music. Then I went to another place called Vinyl Revolution. Picked up this Bob Dylan bootleg. I don't know what it is. Little White Wonder Volume 3. It was just kind of hanging out there, and since I collect Dylan stuff, gave that a purchase. All right, back in Bend, got this copy of Bob Dylan's Times They Are Changin'. It's an original 63 stereo copy, and it's just in a really, really nice condition. It was kind of spendy, but I just, my other copy was a little, not bad condition, but not super near mint or anything. This one's just really nice, so I got that one. I'm going to sell my old mono copy because it's not as good a condition. I went to a concert by a band called the Allah-Las. They're kind of a modern throwback vintage, I forget the name of it, but I guess not exactly garage rock, but kind of modern psychedelic 60s style rock band. Allah-Las, and good show here in Bend at the Volcanic Theater, and they had this album there for sale. It cost more than I would have cost me to probably buy it online, by about $5 to $10, but just as a memento for the show, and just to have it. I like the cover a lot. It almost looks like postcards or something like that on there. Kept it to shrink with the hype stickers and all that. And I know the song Keeping Dry on here, which I already knew I liked that song. So between that song and the cover, I thought I'd pick this one up, and because I went to the show. All right, so next up, I went to a sale, kind of a garage sale, but it was just focusing on vinyl and DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. Got a few Blu-rays, got Jaws Blu-ray and Twin Peaks DVD set because I've never seen Twin Peaks before and I want to watch that. But I picked up this Crazy World of Arthur Brown, which I had a copy of, but this one's in much better condition, and it was only like $5 or something like that. But good album. Definitely check out the song Fire if you've never heard it. Classic song there. So I only picked up that one. The reason I went out that day was to go to that specific sale, but after I picked that album up, I saw a sign for another sale, and it had the word vinyl on it on the sign, amongst many other things. So I said, oh, okay, I gotta check that out. And I ended up getting a bunch of stuff there for really cheap, like $2-3 a piece, and got some good stuff there. So I'll show you what I picked out there. This is Van Morrison, his band in the Street Choir. I can't remember. I don't think this is a first pressing or anything like that. I think it's like a mid-70s or late 70s press, but for $2-3, couldn't turn that down. This one I'd never heard this before, but I knew this would be something to pick up for cheap. The Cult, and it is indeed like a $30 album or something like that. But yeah, I haven't given it too much of a listen, but I know it's kind of like a gothic, maybe post-punk band from the 80s. So if I like it, awesome. If I don't, I'll sell it and sell it for a good amount at my next show. Then this I was really stoked to find at that same sale. A couple albums by Sparks, which I'm always looking for Sparks albums. Just got into them like a year or two ago. And their albums are just kind of hard to find. Not generally stuff you'll find at yard sales or thrift stores and stuff like that. But I have this one, Sparks from Outer Space was in there, and Womp That Sucker. Those are both their 80s albums. I haven't listened to these yet, but I'll give them a listen. I actually used to own this one. I bought this, I found this Sparks at Outer Space at a store one time and bought it, but then I had a show like a month later and ended up just selling it. But maybe I'll give it a listen this time. Also picked up Flowers by the Rolling Stones. Not a perfect condition copy. Someone Sharpied all over the bottom for some reason. Not sure why. But it's an original mono copy of Flowers. Got some great songs on here. Backstreet Girl, Sitting on a Fence, Right On Baby. As well as a lot of other classics like Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby, Ruby Tuesday. I have a stereo copy that's in better shape, but I don't know. For like $2, I couldn't turn that down. And a couple more that I'd never heard before, but I just kind of grabbed them because they were so cheap. Robert Plant, I think this is a late 80s album called Now and Zen. Got Scandal, which I didn't know who they were when I bought it. They did the song Goodbye to You, which I think is that song that goes like, goodbye to you, goodbye to you. Just seemed like something to grab. I don't know. Not sure if I'll like it or not. But also Madness. This is a compilation. I've heard good things about them. I've heard a few of their songs, but for cheap, why not? And Supertramp, Crime of the Century, was also in there for cheap. Definitely one I didn't mind picking up. And these were all in really good condition. Except for that Stones album, the cover, had the Sharpie. But other than that, great condition and albums for very cheap. Alright, so a couple more left. Smith Rock Records again. Got this album by the Kinks. Arthur, one of my favorite Kinks albums. It's an original from 69, I believe, or 68 or 69. You can tell by that two-tone label there from Reprise Records. And I already own this one, but this one is in a little bit better condition. And it was only like $14, and $14 for a 60s Kinks album is a really good deal, especially for one this good. So I picked that up. And then last, and not least, is the Brian Jonestown Massacre, Give It Back. Another one I already owned. I actually bought this on Discogs. It was in my want list for a couple years. And it's a Japanese copy with an obi strip, which is quite a fun novelty. If you know anything about obi strips, you'll probably know that most albums that have them are from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. But this is a 90s album that was released on vinyl in the 2010s. And just as a novelty, they released a Japanese version with the obi strip. This is one of my favorite bands of all time. This is a great album called Give It Back. It's also the original blue vinyl version. I had the original UK or US or something like that. I think it was a European blue vinyl version, which I will now sell and keep this awesome Japanese version with the Obi strip. I'd literally had it on my want list for like 2 years, and I never saw one pop up, and one popped up for not cheap, but you know, within the range I was willing to pay for it. So could not resist getting that, being a big fan of the band and a fan of Obi strips as well. So that was a fun novelty to pick up there. All right, that's it for my June, July final purchases. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and talk to you next time.